Welcome back to the small-time tournament, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nacho Cheese.
And I am Unctuous.
And we are casting Game 2 between Incoherence and Threnody. Threnody, the Zerg player, able to take Game 1 with a lot of Roach Hydra pressure, getting an early economic advantage with his second base, and then just able to keep that advantage and press Incoherence hard. Incoherence was just not able to hold up under that pressure.
Even when Incoherence came in and actually came out ahead in a couple of the battles, Threnody was definitely able to take it back. He macroed so well that he was on a few bases, was able to get his army back in shape, and Incoherence just didn't press when he needed to. There were a couple opportunities there when I think Incoherence probably could have done some serious damage had he pressed out ahead, but he didn't give too much pressure. There were a couple instances where he did deny a base very, 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 very successfully, but it just wasn't enough.
And so Incoherence, as the loser of Game 1, has picked the map, and he has picked Tal'Darim Altar. The first feature about this map, it's big. It's huge. Look at this. There are 4 bases, really, per corner, for a total of 16 bases on this absolutely massive map. This first opening to your natural is just wide open. There's no ramp to defend it there, which leads a lot of Protoss players to do a Forge Fast expand, which looks like that's what Incoherence is going to be doing, dropping this pylon very far out from the main, but in the perfect place to wall off his natural.
Now, what's very scary about this map is although it's big, there are some really, really weak points on the map. For example, the cliff right outside of the natural expansion, right next to the large ramp, there's a cliff right there that is very, 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 very good for getting units up and taking them back down. It's good for drop play, which we did actually see used last time. So I'm kind of hoping that we're going to see some more really nice drops coming from our Zerg player, Threnody. But that is a very scary area. It's kind of difficult to hold that Vespian geyser that's closest to the cliff. It's not so much of a problem with either Protoss or Zerg players, but when you get a Terran player in the mix, they can just abuse that with their tanks, as well as it's noteworthy to have these destructible rocks. That there are these destructible rocks on one of your 4 bases in your little corner of the map.
Right, that's definitely going to delay a third base if they choose to go for this more easily defendable third base location. Although this one at the side has no rocks, is a little further out of the way, a little harder to reinforce his unit, but could be faster to get up. And as I said before, we are seeing a Forge go up for Incoherence, and here goes his Nexus. That is a very early expansion. We will see if Threnody can scout this. Unfortunately, his drone completely going the opposite direction he needs to go in order to scout his opponent, so he will not see this until perhaps it is sealed up nice and tight with that gateway, and the cannon going to be coming down soon, I'm sure, and that could give Incoherence a good advantage over Threnody, as Threnody is not doing an early expand build, is instead choosing to get these Zerglings out quite quickly, and is only now bringing his drone down to expand.
It's actually very surprising. I think I've only ever seen Zerg players go for that 15 hatch. They want to get that economy boost as early as possible. Zerg being such an economy-based race really needs that early expansion. Not to mention, you can almost safely say that your Protoss opponent will be going for that expansion as well, because he's counting on you doing a 15 hatch and not having to worry about any early pressure. So it's very interesting that spawning pool went down, and I don't believe he got any Zerglings in here yet. There are just Zerglings sitting outside the base. It might have made a little more sense if he had taken that opportunity to rush those Zerglings past that wall. And we can see our Protoss players sealing off with the Cybernetics core right now. It's a complete wall, and what you'll often see is another Cybernetics core coming a little bit later, further in the back, and they'll destroy that core to give a gap so that there'll actually be a place for the Protoss players' units to go through.
So we did see this drone swoop by just before that first cannon finished, so it is in the base and able to do some scouting. Don't know if we'll see any cheese from Threnody with this drone, but that possibility certainly does still exist. He is now poking at the front with these Zerglings, just seeing that, yes, that is a wall, and there are some cannons behind it. so he is definitely not going to be seeing any early pressure from his Protoss opponent. He is probably feeling very safe to drone up right now, transferring a lot of drones and a queen to his natural expansion. And Zerg players in general absolutely loving no early pressure, able to just macro up, get a huge economic lead, and then just go wipe the floor with their Protoss opponents.
They love just spamming that D key to get as many drones as possible. I think a Zerg player is happiest when he just hits X, select all larva, and just holds down the D button, just lets it go. We are seeing an evolution chamber come down, and a roach warren coming down for our Zerg player, who it looks like he's going to want to do some very similar speedling roach pressure, which I'm not sure is the greatest idea given this massive wall off. But this Overlord is seeing everything that's going on. He's now coming out to scout with his... Ooh, a Stargate is going down. He sees the Stargate with a drone that was hiding down in the corner, which makes sense. That was we saw both of those gases go down. We could have guessed that was going to be either a Stargate or maybe a Dark Shrine, but it is going to be a Stargate, and I don't think that our Zerg player is going to feel too worried about it. He has 4 crawlers down already. He's prepared for this.
The Zerg player, Threnody, is definitely very happy that he snuck in this drone here and was able to scout that. That drone only just now getting taken out by the sentry and the cannons, but he sees the Stargate. He knows exactly what's coming. As you mentioned, Unctious, he's got 4 crawlers set up in his main, in his natural. Another one coming down up front here at the main, and he's going to be all sorts of ready for any sort of airplay. That's a big disadvantage for Incoherence, as it may be a very big tech switch to go to ground units out of the robotics facility. He's now getting down a Twilight Council and another gateway. Do you think that he's going to use his Twilight Council to get some upgrades or possibly go into some Templar play?
I think at this point, I think it would probably be smarter. He knows that there's 4 crawlers down. Well, he doesn't really know it, but he will see that there's 4 crawlers down. I think it would be the smarter thing to do if he went instead just for some Blink Stalkers. And those Blink Stalkers are going to be extremely, extremely well prepared for any roach aggression that comes by. He knows that his opponent saw the Stargate, and he can assume that his opponent is going to be gearing up to take care of that. Especially because for Zerg players, airplay is so scary. If you can get a couple Phoenixes out, and you can get a Void Ray, your queens they are at huge risk. Just get a Phoenix to lift it up, and that Void Ray will take it out. But I would say, I see Blink Stalkers coming. Would you agree with me?
Normally I would agree with you, but here comes a Templar Archives drops down. We are seeing, even though, Unctious, you are completely right, Incoherence knows that his opponent has scouted the Stargate. He knows that he's got to be getting prepared. We're still seeing him produce a Phoenix and a Void Ray out of this, and we may see some harassment here. Now, these Phoenix, not going to be too great at picking up queens and doing damage that way because Threnody did spot it early, but Phoenix will be great at scouting around and taking out Overlords. He is scouting over the base now. He's going to see that there are 3 Spore Crawlers. It's going to take a lot of damage to go down. He does go down. That Phoenix, not very happy about that situation. But we do see 1 Void Ray out on the field already. Another one, a Phoenix on the way. He must have canceled Void Ray. And a very small ground army for our Protoss player.
There are quite a few sentries. With this wall off, he doesn't have to worry about too much right now getting into his base. But what he does have to worry about is the fact that he's giving his third opponent a lot of time to macro up. The Threnody did decide to take that harder to reach expansion instead of going for these broken rocks. Oh, he did break the rocks. He is going for that expansion. He's double expanding right now. He feels extremely safe. These Zerglings see that there's not that much coming from these warp gates. There's kind of a pretty small ground force, as you said, and this Stargate, is still producing things. I'm not quite sure what it's really going to do, but I'd be more worried about the fact that he's getting a very early Psy Storm. He's going to be able to get those High Templars out, and that's going to be great against some very, very, very squishy Zerg units coming up in the mid game.
That's definitely right. Now, our Zerg player has not scouted this Templar Archive. He does not know that Psystorm will be waiting for him. That could be very dangerous, especially against those lower health Hydralisks. They're definitely a glass cannon, able to do a lot of damage if protected by tougher units like Roaches, or just throwaway units like Zerglings. But once they start getting attacked, especially by Psystorm and by these Zealots, they're going to go down quickly. Charge finished for the Zealots. He must have stuck that in when we weren't looking.
Now, this is interesting. Both of the Zerg players kind of ignoring this little timing window that he had. Because all of his units now have +1 attack, all of his ground units now have +1 attack, and I don't think that these ground units had anything on them. Yeah, all these ground units were 0-0. He might have been able to prod in, kind of start to at least harass a little bit, maybe get close enough. Well, those cannons are pretty held up tight. Yeah, I don't really know what I was going to say. Those cannons got that front covered. It would be nice to see the ventral sacks come up, though.
You see Threnody, there's your ventral sacks, right as you said that, going down. We could definitely see some drop play again. Threnody choosing to take this opportunity not to do any pressure against that airtight wall. He's just going to love his double expansion. He's going to drone up. As we see, this bottom expansion is saturated on minerals. He can transfer guys to gas whenever he wants to. There he goes. And he can start bringing workers up to this top expansion over here. We do see he's a little supply block. These Phoenixes running around taking out the Overlords scouting his base. We see the one that was up on this pedestal was taken out. There may have been others around the base. And so Threnody is forced to take a couple of his drones, and instead of using them to get resources, having to make Overlords. So he's probably not the happiest about that, but again, not a huge disadvantage, as Threnody has 4 bases to Incoherence 2. He has map control. He has control of all 4 towers. He has Zerglings in front of the Protoss player's base. Really, Zerg has to be very happy.
I was going to say almost the exact same thing. What I think would be Cybernetics Core just went down on that wall, by the way. He's looking to move out, and he does have, I believe that's 6 High Templars, all with energy coming. All the forces are moving out. They would be able to take out those few Zerglings. But what I wanted to say was that I do see a tactical mistake from Incoherence by not using those air units to go from base to base, not base to base, tower to tower, take out those Zerglings, and take away a little bit of that map control. He decided that he wanted to take out these rocks and kind of... Yeah, there we go. All right, the rock's getting taken down, gearing up to take a third base. His opponent is already on 4, and a ton of Overlords are loaded up with Hydralisks and Roaches, and they're gearing up for a very big drop.
That is going to be all the way bad for our Protoss opponent, but he has pulled his army back into his base, now bringing them back outside. He does not have the scouting information to see this coming. A small number of Overlords coming out with Roaches and a couple Hydras to the natural. The main force is going to be dropping in the main. Incoherence has got to see this. He's not pulling his forces back. He still does not see this. This force is doing massive amounts of damage, only now pulling back his army to try and take care of this. But there is a lot of Roaches and Hydras. Storm going down, trying to take out those Overlords, not doing anything. He will clean up this attack in his main, but the natural drop is doing lots of damage, taking out a lot of workers. And this main army will be forced to come back and battle all across this. Let's take a look at the workers' loss tab. Only 5 workers killed by Threnody in that attack, but he was able to put his opponent on the back of his heels, keep him in the defensive mindset, and just wipe the floor with him. We do see in the units lost tab, Threnody has actually lost more units, about 1,500 resources left, more of units. So maybe that attack is not worth it, Unches.
I would disagree. I think the Zerg is sitting back right now. He's on almost 5 bases. He's ready to remax any minute. He has 1,200 minerals stashed away. He's moving drones down. He's just been macroing up. He has a big lead with respect to that. He'll be able to remax his army, which he has already done. He's already at 182 as opposed to the 141 that we see from our Protoss player. He really, what he's really doing, these Protoss moving in unfearfully. Those charge lots are taking out a lot of those links. Some great storms going down on those very squishy Roaches and Hydras, moving away, now moving back, trying to get away from those side storms, picking off those Hydras one by one, and Corruptors are coming in to take out those Void Rays. Storms going down on top of them, but they were just misplaced just a little bit. Storms going down, all the Roaches and Hydras will get cleaned up. All of these Corruptors are not going to go down until somebody gets on them, but more for Roach and Hydras coming out as reinforcements, taking out everything. Archons are coming up, and these Roaches will chase away those sentries. The Corruptors are moving in right now, moving across the map, I think going to check out that third, but don't really know where they're going.
Now, Incoherence definitely lost out on this battle. A lot of missed storms. He was throwing them on top of the units instead of on the ground below where the units were, which is a common mistake unless you have the flyer helper on. And he is now going for an aggressive counter push with this small force. Now, the problem is most of his food is taken up with these corruptors, but he is still able to do a significant amount of damage to what little remains of Incoherence's army, able to take out that Void Ray. These Archons now getting out, doing a good amount of damage, but they will be taken out before they can take out too many of the units. And this small force is going to be able to do a lot of damage to the army and going to walk over and take out this completely undefended third base. That is not good for Incoherence. As you see, Threnody is at max army count. He has 199 supply. Incoherence slowly going down, 68 now, 67, and I foresee a GG in the near future for Incoherence.
I totally agree. Threnody is in a very comfortable spot. Reinforcements on the way. That Greater Spire is coming in. It's about to be finished, and all those corruptors will then have a use being able to turn into blue lords. But that third just went down. Unless... Oh, look at that. The Protoss player putting down a bunch of gateways. Still going to try to fight back. These two gateways that were by that expansion are useless. That third base is entirely cleaned up right now. And a ton of more reinforcements. Roaches and Hydras rallying to this Dalmaga Watchtower right outside of our Protoss player's base, who is doing everything he can to drone up, but he's only on one base right now, and that's really not going to do it against the 5 bases of our Zerg players.
Now we see an army moving in for Threnody. This army is very fearsome. It's made up of 15 Roaches, 25 Hydralisks, and 9 Corruptors. I don't know why he's not morphing these Corruptors into Broodlords, but it does not matter as Threnody just has the amount of units he needs to press forward, completely destroy all those cannons. He's going to be taking out these war feeds here and moving into the natural, and that is going to take Incoherence's only economy away, and there's the GG. Well played. Threnody able to take game 2. We will be moving into game 3 here pretty soon from the small-time tournament. We will see what map he chooses, and we will see if Threnody can sweep Incoherence 3-0, or if Incoherence can come back, make an insane comeback, and put some pressure on our Zerg opponents. Great play by both players.
And we are just watching the Roaches and Hydras clean up everything. I think a little bit hesitant to be perhaps making a map choice, and I really liked how those Roaches and Hydras were really putting on a show for those Corruptors that are just sitting outside, not turning into Broodlords. As if the Corruptors just said, hey, underlings, go forth, make me happy, and that's exactly what they did. Incoherence has left the game, which means we will be moving on to game 3 very, very soon. I think entirely the Zerg player just out-macroed his Protoss opponent.
Definitely. A 5-base Zerg will beat a 2-base Protoss any day of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break again from the stream. We will come back very quickly for game 3 between Threnody and Incoherence. I am Nacho Cheese.
And I'm Unctuous.
And we will see you in a few minutes.